And welcome to the Let's Grow Space. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, and this is episode 292. Hi. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Oh my goodness, y'all. The equinox has passed. It is meteorologically spring. I'm not sure if it is actually... No, wait. It is astronomically spring, but I'm not sure if it's meteorologically spring. It is, in fact, pretending to be today. It's very exciting. The birds are a-chirpin'. It's quite warm. The grass looks surprisingly green, except in my backyard, because the crabgrass hasn't gotten the memo yet. My hair was super cute when I started, but then I decided to play with technology for like an hour. Now I feel frazzled. And like also all of my like spatial like cues are off because like the thing I played with changed like the aspect ratio of how I record. And then it freaked me out because it looked so different that I had to go back to the old way for now. But then when I went back to the old way, it looked weird. And so now I'm super discombobulated. And you're like, that is your baseline. Oh my gosh. I'm like sub-baseline discombobulated. I might have like circled back to combobulated. And so I don't know how this is going to pan out, y'all. I don't know. But we're going to forge on. We're going to forge on. Not a tech-savvy human. But like my PC has reached that like magic age where it's just decided that like even the most basic of functions are going to take like 45 minutes. And so if you can imagine like opening like an Excel document takes forever, editing like giant video files is an exercise in patience. So I'm trying to like switch over with what I have and like trying to like kind of rework things and like trying to make it budget friendly. And so I'm trying to kind of play around with that, and it's a little bit taxing. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Because I might have something TikToking around in my brain. Okay, that's an actual thing. It's not TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. I love TikToks. But I like the Shelly Can because she curates TikTok. I like to pretend for me, but it's for all of us. I just like people to curate TikTok and show me the funny because I don't know how to wade through the TikTok. So I apologize. That was not about TikTok, but I mean, it was like clip-clopping around. Now there's going to be a clip-clop app, and I'm going to be confusing you because you're going to watch this in the future and you'll be like, oh my God, clip-clop, I love clip-clop. And I'll be like, I don't know what clip-clop is. Things are doing this in my head. And I like have some plans in the works that'll involve more videoings, but in a different vein, let's say. So I really want to just like kind of streamline these processes so that I can be an efficient human. So yeah, that's working. It's working. It's in the works. It's not working. It's in the works. I don't know what's happened. Like, I just feel like I have suddenly a rush of things I want to do. I don't know if I was just resting, like if my little like overwintering heart was just overwintering. And I was just like waiting for something to happen in my brain. But suddenly, I want to do a million things that are different, but similar. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of exciting though. How are you feeling about the things in your brain? Are you excited about them? Are you put off by them? There's cold brew. I think I have tried the cold brew like I know I have. I say I think like I know that I have tried the cold brew like many years ago, but it involved the like, is it toddy? I think so. Like that plastic like vessel that you like had a stopper in, and then there was like a filter in there, and it was like all very precarious. I am not good with precarious. I don't know if you can tell. Like several parts of my body have their own personalities and kind of act on their own free will sometimes. Like my butt just knocks things over, my boobs swing around and knock things. I'm not like, I have a French press, but only the metal kind, because I've broken like 500 glass ones. Okay, 5 maybe, but still, I like a hyperbole. It was just very precarious and like, anyway, and like I just felt, and I didn't have an actual coffee grinder, I don't think, at the time. Like if I did, it was like the cheapo kind that's not like the burr grinder, which by the way, I love coffee snobs. And by love, I mean, bless your heart, love. And also love. I was reading directions about doing cold brew where they were talking about coffee grinders. And they were, because there's like a coffee grinder that just like chops up like a food processor almost. Like it's like a tiny food processor. And then there's like a burr grinder. And the burr grinder actually is the preferred method for grinding coffee because it grinds the coffee in a much more consistent way. Versus like, like for example, when you put an onion in a food processor, you don't know what you're going to get out of there. Right? You're going to get big chunks, you're going to get little chunks, you're going to get oil. It's inconsistent, right? Sometimes it's okay, but if you're doing something that you need a very consistent chop on, you're not going to rely on that. Okay, so that's like your like, I don't even know what it's called, but like that's one one coffee grinder versus the burr coffee grinder. And so I was looking at the directions for the cold brew. First of all, talking about how to grind the coffee, like what size to grind it at, and like blah blah blah. And then we're like talking about like, and if you have the X kind of coffee grinder, the like less preferred kind, that's fine too. Just clean it out really well. Give it to Goodwill and don't do this. But anyway, that was a total digression. Welcome to the show. That's what we do here. This episode will contain nonsense, shenanigans of the mind, none of the outside kind. It will contain knitting. It will contain no spinning. It will contain crochet. It will not contain any sewing that I can show you because I did secret sewing this week. Sewing, not showing. I did secret sewing this week. And it will contain a very tiny amount of shameless self-promotion at the end. Parenthetical bump up. So, there's cold brew in the fridge. Anyway, so I did it with this toddy thing. And I just wasn't into it. Like, I was like, I don't get what the big deal is. This is a hot mess. It's like, okay. It's inconvenient and messy, and I don't really get the big deal. I think there was multiple reasons that it wasn't that great. It was because I wasn't using a good grinder. I was probably just buying like off the shelf ground and all that stuff. So I think it was okay. I just don't think I was like worth the problem. And also I don't think I was using it for iced coffee at all. So anyway, fast forward to now. I had to go to the genetic counselor, which continues to be a little stressful. If you're new to the show, I had ovarian cancer. I'm saying had, because I still don't have it now. Diagnosed in the end of 2019, and I was under 50. So it's a rare cancer, and I'm under 50, so they suggest that I get genetic counseling. And I'd kind of been putting it off because there's been a pandemic and it's expensive, but I do have a child and... But anyway, so I was going there and I was a little bit early, so I decided to treat yourself. And I got the big green cup, the big Starbucks, and I got the, what is it called? The sweet cream cold brew. Oh man, it was so delicious. It was so good. It It was a definite treat yourself. It was yummy. So I immediately came home and researched how to make that. I haven't gone so far as to make the vanilla cream. I'm happy to just add dairy that we have. And I'm a little, like, I just don't want to, I don't want, one, I did look up and one of the recipes involved sweetened condensed milk. And I was like, okay, I don't even need to know how to make that because that could be very dangerous. So I'll just back off that and like save that as a, you know, cookies are sometimes treat option. But yeah, like I've really enjoyed it, and I don't have that precarious plastic thing. I just have like an old jar that an old jar. It sounds like I'm doing moonshine in my basement. Not that I'm opposed to that. But we just have like an old jar that I used for kombucha when I was doing kombucha. Sometimes it's good to be a person who does 9,000 dumb things. Not that kombucha's dumb, but you know what I mean. I had like a big jar that I had made kombucha in. And so I just used that for the cold brew. So I just like put, and I have a coffee grinder now to be fancy. And so I used that for that. And then like I have a million mason jars. So lucky for that. I mean, I could have just used I also have half-gallon mason jars. So you can use one of those. So yeah. And of course, and then I just used a strainer and cheesecloth. We got, some of that. So yeah, it's like totally stuff I just had, which is like so exciting. I do love multiple use tools. I'm an Alton Brown. I'm a little bit upset about, well, never mind, I'm not getting into it. Never mind. I'm old school Alton Brown fan. How about that? I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, let's not even get into it. I don't know anything about Alton Brown after about like what, 1996 or something. That's the end of my Alton Brown knowledge. And that is just to say that I enjoy a tool that has more than one function. Ding! End of sentence. I got a little fat phobic there for a minute. Did you get over that? I'm just saying. That's what I'm referring to. I don't know, maybe you got over it. But anyway, so that's been very enjoyable. And then I like found this romper pad because then I'm in love with sewing, okay? Fully in love with sewing. I am ready to burn. I'm not going to actually burn because there's lots of fat people out there who need clothes. But I am ready to, I don't want to give them to Goodwill either because the CEO of Goodwill makes too much money. That's all I'm saying. But I just want to have like a free yard sale. Because quite frankly, I don't even want to mess with it. But I just want to have like, oh, that's what I want to have. I want to have a fat lady pool party where I just give away all my clothes. Oh my gosh! Why don't I have a pool? Why am I not rich? That'd be so fun. Dang it. All right. Life, come on. I just want to have a fat lady pool party where I give away all of my clothes. Except my bathing suits. I'm not ready to sew my bathing suit yet, but I'm very close. I'm very close. And I don't want to give away. I'm like the jerk. I'm ready. I just need this thermos and this ashtray. That's a very old movie, people. And I'm sure it is full of very questionable things. Don't watch it, probably. But anyway. Fat lady pool party. It's fat centered. It's body neutral. You can certainly come. You're all welcome. It's just fat centered / I know it's very hard to be like, it's fat centered, but also body neutral. But I think you understand what I'm saying. Right. right? Can it be both those things? It can be. I'm the boss of it. It's both those things. I'm the boss. My pool party. Anyway, I'm giving away all of my clothes. I am literally shedding my shackles. I am so in love with sewing. I'm going to make all of my clothes. And I don't know, it's going to be, I am excited. I put on a shirt yesterday, and it was a t-shirt that I have henceforward been really okay with. But my t-shirts never fit me in the arms. They always like slide up because my arms are bigger than the t-shirt wants them to be. The t-shirt I paid for, and I'm really ranty right now. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Thank you. Welcome to my pool party. And I was just like, I have settled for this my whole life. And I've never understood people who were like, okay, who've had a capsule wardrobe. I've understood it. Like, obviously, I have understood the words, how they fit together and what they mean. But I've never understood it, like, in a way that I could internalize it and, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, I've actually had a couple of moments where I'm like, I flippin' understand how you could do that. Like, yeah, that makes sense now. What? Because I've just never, I've had clothes I've even had clothes that like worked okay, like, you know, but like I would say the majority of my clothes have been a C, and then my best options have been a B. Do you know what I mean? And I've never really understood, like, you could have A++. And, like, that you could maybe even have, like, only A++. Like, that's not even been... Do you know what I mean? What? And I'm so excited for folks. What? And I know it's not an option for everybody. Because A, even with extended sizes, there are certainly folks who are still outside of those extended sizes. Although Muna and Broad will totally grade to you if you're bigger than their extended sizes. And it is not a cheap endeavor, but I would agree that it actually probably ends up being less expensive than, especially if you are a fat person, it ends up being less expensive than even cheap ready-to-wear, because you can create things that will last much longer for you. And you actually can create things that you will want to wear. And again, you could theoretically live with many fewer pieces than you could. Whatever. That's a different discussion. I've just been very excited about sewing. How about that's the end of that discussion? Okay. Where were we going with this? Oh, that's the reason I started to discuss it. How did we... Cold brew? Because also this week, I have found this crazy pants sewing pattern. Okay, I do need to show you this because I don't know how I can explain it. It's for a romper. I think we call it a romper. I'm guessing that's what we call it. Okay, I'm going to show you the pattern picture because it's like super hippy dippy. And I say that in a very loving way. I obviously bought it and I plan on wearing it. And here's the fabric I'm going to make the first one with. Well, it may not be the first one because I'm really love this fabric. This is a vintage sheet. If you're new to the podcast, my favorite summer wardrobe items for the house, because that's 95% of where I live my life, are clothing made with vintage sheets. Because they're like crisp and cool and they have really fun patterns. And like a queen bed sheet will make quite a bit of clothing. But can we just discuss this one I just found? I'm really excited about it. There's also butterflies on it. They are usually 50-50 poly cotton, but that doesn't seem to bother me. Usually I'm not one to use polyester, excuse me, or wear polyester, but it doesn't seem to bother me. Maybe because the clothes I'm making with them are like billowy and not close to the body. I don't know. Also, I'm like, oh yeah, let's make some shirts with like giant sleeves. I'm out of control. Oh, I must not have it in the, must still be in my, it's still in my other file system on my phone. From where I got this, I had to print the copy shop because clearly I had to get the printer to print this for me immediately. It's called the Caladium Jumpsuit. So there are no closures. It is just an on-off reversible jumpsuit. Woven. Now, if you had shown me that pattern, I'd have been like, okay. I would not have been particularly intrigued. The reason I even saw it is because I follow So Over 50 on the Instagram, on the grams. And somebody that I follow So Over 50, and somebody posted their picture in their jumpsuit, and I was like, what? That looks perfect. So if you look under the hashtag on Instagram, you will find many a hot babe in her jumpsuit. I don't think there's any gentlemen in jumpsuits, but gentlemen, jumpsuit it up, y'all. I just said hot babe, didn't I? And then I can't remember how I gendered that. That's a gender neutral jumpsuit if ever I saw one. Anyway, in the description, the designer suggests using it as like a swimsuit cover up but like you can definitely see when you're looking at the folks wearing it that it can go anywhere from like super duper casual to actually fairly sophisticated looking. Right? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it and not showing you. I was trying to figure out which one I saw. Isn't this a great podcast? It's just me looking at my phone. It's almost like we're visiting in real life. Oh my goodness. I can't figure out which one it was. I apologize. But it is terribly cute. And everybody who is wearing it looks very happy to be wearing their Caladium jumpsuit. I'm not going to lie to you. Like they're all either in the wind with it blowing, they're dancing, they're doing a jig. I think one of them did specifically say that she enjoyed dancing within her pants, which is one of the things I said about my Otis overalls. I mean, you just can't help it. You cannot help it. There is joy in the dancing in your pants. It's a very fun thing to do. Here's a layered one. I'll give you some ideas. It's so fun. Here's one with the multiple colors. Right? I mean, come on. Look at this great version. So anyway, I just had this I'm going to pretend that I'm going to live in this bubble, in which I'm just going to like ignore everything for a minute and just have a like nice pretend dream of like my cold brew and jumpsuit, Caladium made of sheets, and there was like sun in the moment, and I was just like, oh yeah. There was something else that was very positive in the moment. It was just so pleasant. Very nice. Just gotta find these things, right? I mean, that's pretty exciting. So what else has happened? Another shenanigan of the mind. I took a class on the internets. So Fancy Tiger Crafts offered, oh my goodness, what was it even called? But they offered like an introduction to fabrics class. And it was, I enjoyed it. It's one of these things where I realized like how little I know about fabric, apparel fabric. You know, because with quilting cotton and home dec fabrics, it's pretty, like, quilting cotton is fairly standard, especially since there are pretty much just a handful of big producers. They kind of have the same substrates. Like, I mean, they consistently print on the same substrate. So you pretty much know if you're going to order a cotton and steel, what it's going to feel like. You know, it might be a little different. Like, you know, Ruby Star Society just put out some, not just, like a year ago, more maybe, put out, you know, some like yarn dyes. You know, like there's, you know, sometimes there will be something different. But if you're getting an art gallery quilter's cotton, you know pretty much what it's going to feel like, right? But that's, apparel is like a whole bonko different world. And there is some consistency. Like, Robert Kaufman is a huge producer in apparel fabrics, and like, I think they kind of consistently, like, I think they have lines that stay fairly consistent. Like in terms of like their knits or their canvases or things like that. And there are weights that they use to, but whatever. It's still just like a whole thing that I don't know much about. And there's just like, it feels like it's a huge thing that I don't know anything about. And there's not an apparel fabric store near me that I am aware of. Maybe there is and I just don't know about it. But in so much as I know, other than going to Chicago, which I don't plan on doing anytime soon, there's not an apparel fabric store near me. So I was like, I need to learn more about this stuff. So I took the class. It is the class they normally offer in person because Fancy Tiger, if you don't know about it, they sell lots of different things. They sell yarn, they sell kits, they sell fabrics, and other things as well. So usually the class is held in person in their store and they go around and they feel different things, whatever. But since they offered it online, they actually sent out samples of stuff. So it was really cool. So the instructor talked about the different fabrics. They talked about the different qualities. You got to kind of feel everything. And I'm super excited because I don't know why this didn't occur to me before. But now I'm going to start like a swatch book. This is not something I've ever done with yarn because I feel like I'm comfortable enough with yarn to pretty much know what my yarn is. Like, I remember it mostly. I mean, I may not remember like what the colorway name is, but I pretty much, like, if you give me something out of the basket, like, I'll know the manufacturer and like what it was usually. There might be one in every once in a while that I'm like, I'm not really sure what that was, but I mean, I definitely won't remember the colorway, but I'll remember what it was, usually. Anyway, but how fun, right? So it was really great because a lot of the things, like, I would not, especially like the rayon and things like that, like the the fabrics that are like semi-naturals, that are like very processed, like they're bamboo and things like that, that I don't have any familiarity with. It was like viscose and stuff like that. Like, that was very enlightening to feel those, and silks and stuff I don't have any familiarity. Like I remember hearing about a lot of them because my grandmother was a seamstress for like a high-end department store for a very long time. And so, I mean, and she did wedding alterations even after that for a long time. But it was very cool just to, like, just to get to feel all of these different things and just see, you know, but they're just like small swatches, but it still is enough to kind of give you an idea of what they're going to feel like, you know, kind of how they're going to drape up, you know, not perfectly, but to some extent. And just to give you some starting point, like to kind of go from. I mean, it would be awesome if there was like a next level class where you got, you know, like a fat eighth of everything to kind of just sew on it and like, but of course then that's going to be a pretty intense supply cost. Because yeah, the next thing is like, oh, how does this, especially, I guess it would be more interesting in terms of like the things you're less familiar with. Like, I mean, I don't need a fat eighth of denim, you know, or a fat eighth of canvas, but like a fat eighth of like viscose. Like, what does that, you know, like what do I need to do on my machine settings to make that work better? Or a fat eighth of Duponi or whatever. Dupioni. She said it in such a strange way. I guess it's one of those things that like, maybe I've only heard my grandmother say it. Do we say it wrong? But anyway, Dupioni. I guess maybe I've heard it Duponi, but now I don't even know because now it doesn't make sense anymore. But anyway, like, you know, like, oh, okay, silk twill. And like, also like, it was so interesting just to feel the silks and to feel like they're not that intimidating. And it was interesting too to hear her say that the silks kind of just like disintegrate over time. And I'm like, oh, I want a piece of clothing that will eventually just disintegrate. Like that felt very romantic. Like I could just feel my like old aging body and my clothing just slowly disintegrating off of me. But that's kind of cool. I enjoyed that thought process. Anyway, and like, you know, to hear her talk about like, oh, you know, like, yeah, many of these things you can just wash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course, it was like the caveat of like, you know, not that I said so. But you know what I mean? Like, you know, we've always heard like forever, like, oh, you can't wash rayon or you can't do this or you can't do that. But most everything you can wash, just be very careful with it, drip dry, all that good stuff. But yeah, or this silk crepe de chine, like I always thought that was like too fancy to ever touch. And I'm like, well, that doesn't feel too fancy to ever touch. I mean, it's probably like a little fancy for me because I don't leave my house, but like, I'm kind of interested. I'm like, I want some silk crepe de chine. Like, well, maybe I want that. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I'm fancy. I don't know. But anyway, so now I'm very excited about my swatch book. I'm going to go back through and redo it because I did staple because I was just not prepared. But I'm going to go back through. And also I'm going to start saving my samples that I get from other places with like a little more information. But yeah, I'm so excited. That was so cool. And we talked a little bit more about things like grain line and like, I learned about like, you know, like, well, what is the difference, like, if you're cutting on the grain versus against the grain in terms of, like, drape and things like that, which I did not know there was a difference in terms of drape and things. So that was interesting. I loved it. It was very cool. I learned a lot. If you don't know anything about fabric, I highly recommend it. Bam. What else? The Embody Mal is going on, so if you are interested in any of the Jacqueline Cieslak knitting or sewing options, because she's so fancy, her make-along is going on. I believe it's already started, right? Didn't it start March 25th? And it's 6 weeks long. So I am actually going to do a special video about the garments I made. I did a test sew of her sleeveless tunic and her long sleeve crop. So I'm going to do a little bonus episode about those. I definitely plan on making another one. I might make another one for the Mal. enjoyable. But anyway, so that's going on. You can find out much more. You can find out more on her Instagram, or I'm sure on like Pom Pom's info or whatever. I don't know. Do you know about printing patterns? So that's a thing that if you're interested in sewing, her pattern, you can get your large format prints done. The book does not come with your sewing patterns like printed in there. You have to get them printed. So you can either print them at home or wherever and then tape them all together, which is totally a thing you can do. I find it to be very frustrating. And it makes me a little bit twitchy because you have to like line things up, and I get frustrated when they don't line up exactly right, which they usually just don't. Like, and that's fine. It doesn't have to line up perfectly. But I get a little bit stressed out about it because I'm goofy. You can print them if you have a copy shop that will print them for you, like a local business. That's great. I have not been able to find one. I've called several different like local businesses, and they only want to print like big runs of things. So Staples will print them, FedEx will print them, and Office Depot will print them. I don't remember the price of Office Depot. Staples will charge you $15 per A4 page, A0 page, sorry. That's what they're printed on. It's like, is it 24 by 36, I think, or something like that. So Staples will charge you $15 a page. FedEx will charge you $9. I usually, if I can, I go with pdfplotting.com. They have always done a fabulous job in things I've needed printed. And they charge $1.50, like they charge less than $2 a page. You do have to pay for shipping. I believe it's $8, $7.99. Well, for where I live, it's $8. It's probably more if you live farther west, because I think they're on the East Coast. And they are super fast. Usually they ship the next business day. Sometimes even like the same business day, if you get it in before 11, I think. So they're super fast. I've never had an issue. What else? Oh, I think they do have a minimum order of like, I don't know, they might have a minimum order of like $10 or $15, but that just means you have to sew more stuff. I'm just saying. That's all that means. Get a Muna and Bra pattern and just make yourself an extra thing. The universe is just telling you to do that. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. If you have a local sewing place, they might. I guess Utopia, which was Jacqueline C's Lex, fibers, like the place that she, her fabric / yarn store. Gosh, I just can't even. They have it. They print their patterns there. So, I mean, I guess some fabric stores do it. So, I mean, try that out too. Anyway. So, yeah, that's always an option. Hooray! So, yeah. I don't know. I just threw that in there. But I use pdfplotting.com. They've been excellent. One word to the wise. If you do use, like a Staples or a FedEx or whatever, make sure they do not, make sure they don't like scale to fit or whatever. Make sure they print at 100%. Don't let them scale to fit. Okay. Next thing. Okay. Da, 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 da. Oh my gosh, I'm getting my vaccine. We're having a max vaccination. Max? Mass. Also max. I'm getting my vaccine. I'm actually getting it at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A little bit nervous. There's a lot of people. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Oh, I talked about my romper. Uh-huh. Did I tell you about my roller skates? Oh my gosh, that might be a thing for another day. I did get a pair of roller skates. Oh my gosh. Quad, like old-fashioned roller skates. I got roller skates. I'm very bad at roller skating. I've wanted a pair of roller skates for several years, like maybe 4 or 5 years. I'm trying to remember, my kiddo wanted to go roller skating for one of their birthday parties, which had to be at least 5 years ago, because I can't imagine, or at least 4 years ago, because I can't imagine them having wanted to do that in the last several years. And like, I thought it'd be super fun, and all of my friends were like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna fall and break your neck," or we're all gonna fall and break our necks. We're too old to roller skate. And I was like, really? By the way, neither here nor there. So I was like, oh, well, okay. I let them put their bushel basket on my light then. And so then, like several months ago, I was like, oh, roller skating is apparently the thing again. You know what I mean. But like, it's all over the Instagrams. They know how to market to me. And so I was like, I want to roller skate again. So I decided to just let my heart do it this time and just try it out. And like, you know, if I fall and I don't like it, then I fall and I don't like it. And I'll just, since it's popular, I'll just resell my skates, right? Because it's hot. So I'll just resell my skates. And so I am trying to roller skate. I'm really bad. Like I'm literally roller skating in my kitchen, like on my vintage vinyl floor, which is probably from like the 50s or something. Oh, sorry. I after the second session, I had to go on YouTube and search for absolute beginner roller skating, because I just did not even understand like how like I don't even know what is supposed to happen. Like what is, like, it would literally be me being like, how do I move on the moon? Or what is this water that is surrounding my body and how do I move through it? Like, I just don't even... That's kind of how I feel about it. Because apparently, I mean, I know that I have roller skated like as a child, but I think it's been like once. And I definitely did not actually roller skate. I think I walked on roller skates while holding on to that thing that goes around the roller rink. Definitely did not roller skate. Because, like, I know that my school, like my grade school, we had, like, I know that we had roller skate nights occasionally. But, yeah, I don't think I roller skated. I think I went, like, one time. I've never been social. I do not know how to roller skate. I was trying to get my husband to do it. If nothing else, because he will totally look like, it just left my brain. Saru from Star Trek. And that will give me so much enjoyment. But then I will definitely fall down on my roller skates because I will be laughing, and then I will get off balance. And then that will obviously be God kind of punishing me. So that will be correct karmic. But nonetheless, it'll be very enjoyable. But yeah, I fell down. I did not fall down, but I mean, it's gonna happen. It's very dangerous. Don't tell me how you fell down. Don't. If you've already left the comment, go back and delete it. Stop. I understand things are dangerous. But when people learn to drive, we don't automatically tell them how people get in accidents. Don't harsh my buzz, okay? I understand. Things are dangerous that we do, okay? I know it's very silly for a how old am I? I'm almost 43. For an aging 43-year-old woman who is, you know, let's face it, not the most athletic human in the world, to maybe step on wheels. Okay, but I understand that's dangerous. We get in cars all the time. Every time I get in a car, somebody's not like, do you know that 9,000 million people die a year from getting in their car? No, we know. Don't tell me. Settle. Just let me be silly and try to roller skate. Goodness gracious. Do fun stuff. I'm not gonna like go try to, what is that thing that they try to do on the rails? I'm not trying to do that. I'm literally just trying to move forward on a roller skate. I'm not trying to go down steps. I'm not suddenly going to be in an action movie. Marky Mark is not going to be driving after me in a car. And I'm not going to navigate the hills of San Francisco on my roller skates. I bet you would pay for that. I would pay for that. That would be amazing. I'm just trying to move forward on a roller skate. In my kitchen. These roller skates may never see the light of day. Or they might. I don't know. I'm just saying. Let's talk about wool. Yeah. Okay. So I finished my Saki slippers, which are a pattern. Let's start over. Okay, so I finished my Saki slippers, which is a pattern by Nell Knits, and these are with Piece Fleece in the Grassroots colorway. So mine are for a size 11 shoe. Now the pattern is written for DK, and this is obvious, this Aran / heavy worsted weight yarn. So I had to make some slight modifications. The gauge is different. The actual stitch gauge is correct because I knit them just very tightly, but that's what I prefer because that way they don't wear out as quickly. My floors are ancient and rough, and I'm hard on things because I just am. So I do prefer them to be knit very tightly. That way they don't wear out so quickly. And then, but my row gauge was off. So the way I kind of accounted for that was that I knit the first one and it was too short. So I went back and instead of knitting this to the length that was specified, I knit it to like half an inch longer or something. So I made the difference in length up by just knitting this part a little bit longer. So that's what worked for me. And I think on the next pair, I'm actually going to knit this part a little bit taller. Just because I would like it to come up a little bit further on my foot. But I just do really like these. It's amazing just how much this little bit of garter really does keep the thing on your foot. It's like just the tiniest little bit, but it's just enough elasticity to keep it really snugly on your foot, even after several wears, because I do not wash these. I mean, I only wash them after they look real raggedy. So, yeah, they stay on really well. It's amazing. Just a little bit of garter. So anyway, they're very enjoyable. And they're a pleasant little knit, especially if you can knit several of them in the same gauge. And, well, obviously, if you can knit them to the gauge indicated by the pattern, it's much easier. But even if you do have to make some modifications, if you can knit several that are the same yarn and you can just make the change once, it's going to be a much more enjoyable process. So yay! There's that. Then, okay, so then I have a finished object. I finished my Neji hat, which is a pattern by Olga, jazziness, and that is the Japanese word for twist. And this is knit with, so the pattern calls for DK, and I did not have a DK. I wanted to make it pink, and I did not have a DK yarn that was the color that I wanted. So I did have some Beaverslide dry goods. This is a sport weight, but it is woolen spun, and so it does compress rather well. So I actually held a double, which did make it thicker than a DK. So what I did is not mind the pattern, which is what I consistently do all the time, forever. So it actually made it work out to be a little bit fatter than the gauge suggested. So actually what I did is made the smallest size, and what I did was I measured my gauge, found the percentage difference, and that worked out to mean that the smaller size would work into the larger size. Does that make sense? I think it was like a 10% difference between my gauge and the gauge indicated by the pattern. So the small size would knit into the larger size's circumference, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. I mean, does that not just look perfect? This is the Hollyhock colorway, I believe, Hollyhock Heather, and it is just a perfect, it is a really lovely pink. Pink is very hard for me to get the good one because it's so easy for it to go too peachy or too bubblegummy, but this one really, for me, strikes a very good balance. And the cable is not an easy cable, but you only have to do it, like there's only 4 cables each round, or there's only 4 cables on the round, and you only have to do the cables like, well, obviously there's only one, you know, there's only like 5 rounds where you have to do cables. So that's actually kind of perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to concentrate 4 times. You have to concentrate like 20 times in this whole pattern, like plus the cast on. And I love how this may be my most successful 2x2 tubular cast on, like to date. I've been knitting for like 20 to 24 years. This might be my best 2x2 tubular cast on. Okay, now I don't think I can get it on with my bun. Let's see. Oh, I have sticks in my bun. Okay. By sticks, I obviously mean knitting needles. So I was wanting a pointy pink hat, and I think I got it. My bun is in there. It's actually kind of perfect. It's making it stick up just the right amount. Right. So this is the shorter version, and I don't know. I mean, right, like the pointy hat is not for everybody. I wasn't sure if I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want the pointy hat. So I've like made it a little bit less pointy, so I was unsure. And now I'm like, oh, I need a much nipplier, nomier hat, right? Like I want it to be even, I want it to be more like this. Like, right, I want even, yeah, I want to be this person. I mean, obviously without, like, also with hair. Because it's a little confusing with my hair up, but. So, I was like, do I take apart the hat? And then I was like, no, I just want another hat. Clearly. I'm having issues. Oof. So instead, I was just like, well, I'll just immediately cast on another one. So I did not have the correct yarn. So I'm improvising. I have this amazing, whoa. You know what? Actually, I think that might be accurate. This amazing, another Crafty Girl sport yarn. And it's a Kermit colorway. Like, how amazing is that? And like, I've been holding on to it forever because it's just so awesome. And it's Kermit. And so part of me was like, I can't dilute it because... And then another part of me was like, but I want it to be this hat. So I decided that I would make it this hat, but I would dilute it just the tiniest bit. So I added a mohair silk to make it the DK. And so there we go. So this is going to be my next one. Ah! So you can see just how much it dilutes it. It just kind of, just a little, it does dilute it a bit, but that's okay. It might, you know, I don't know. Maybe with the pointy and this color, I might be like not sure if I could be brave enough, but I think this is a perfect spring froggy hat. I'm pretty excited. Sarah does such great yarns. So that's my hat that's coming up. Such a delicious hat. Oh, and the mohair silk is just Webb's Southampton. So yarn.com's, or what is their house brand? I don't remember. It's their house brand. Whatever that is. And then, oh my gosh. So then, okay. So then I cast, okay. So then I wanted, okay. So then. I wanted to cast on that center point pullover. Have you seen that? It's so cute. Do you know what I'm talking about? I saw it and immediately was like, oh, that is darling. Love it. And I was just immediately entranced by it. It is, here, I'll show it to you. It is like a holy? It's like a holy. No, it's not center point, fool. Why is it not hashtagged? Come on. Okay, what is her name? Her name is Mother Bear. Is it Mother Bear Knitting? No. Okay, Little Skein, I just saw hers. The show where I just look at my phone is really not that exciting for you. I am the worst hostess in the world. Come on, Little Skein. Oh, there's what happened to me. Is that her stories? I have to go through stories. Just a minute. Center point pop over. Oh, it's not pullover. It's pop over. I apologize. It's the center point pop over. Okay. And it is darling. Look. Right. And here is the designer, who is Mama's teddy bear. Teddy bear something. And a mother. Right? Love it. And so I've just been so enchanted. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm torn because I cannot knit that for wool. I cannot knit that out of wool right now and be able to wear it. Oh, look at it without the sleeves. Look how cute that looks. That's on Bliss Yarn's website. Oh, look how cute that is. Look how cute. Anyway, I was just immediately like, oh, must have. And so I was pondering, and I found this yarn by Knit Picks that I thought, it's called Snuggle Puff, and it's like these new yarns that have that blown construction where it's like a nylon tube. In this case, I don't know that it's nylon actually. Yes, it is. It's like the nylon mesh with the fiber blown into it, except the fiber blown into it is cotton. It's called Snuggle Puff. It's an Aran heavy worsted weight yarn. And I thought, I am going to try that out because these yarns are kind of enjoyable in their woolly versions. And I thought, I'm just going to experiment and see. And okay, so this is the color that I originally purchased. And I really like this yarn. I usually do not enjoy knitting with cotton. Like, do not enjoy it. This is very pleasant to knit with. It doesn't have the elasticity of wool at all. Like, this is nylon, but it doesn't have that ropey quality that cotton has, that cotton often has. Let me rephrase. That cotton often has when you're knitting with it. It is very pleasant to knit with, and I was afraid that it would be very pilly, but I really aggressively have braided these, and yes, they did get a fuzziness to them. Like, you can, let's see if you can see that. It did get fuzzy, a bit fuzzy, but I mean, I really was brutal. So sorry. I don't know. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I don't love the colors. Of course, I can't see them in person. I don't love the colors. I just like wool. There's a definite quality about wool that I enjoy. Like, it does. I enjoy how it, I enjoy the fibers. I enjoy the quality of wool that the fibers kind of connect to each other. And, so there's many things about wool that I enjoy. But I'm willing to give this a try just to kind of see how it does, just as an experiment. It was not terribly expensive. Ultimately, I decided not to knit that sweater. I don't think I will get as much wear out of that garment. I think it's probably the center point popover, excuse me. The center point popover. I do think I might knit it out of wool for the winter. Because I do think it's terribly cute. But I think the combination of this fiber being or these colors being a little bit more novel, and then that shape being more novel, might be just too much novelty for me. As I wear my crazy wackadoodle crochet sweater, whatever, it doesn't make any sense. Just in my own head. So I have decided to go with a more traditional looking sweater. Excuse me. I do want to knit that sweater though, that center point popover. I think it's terribly cute. I just think I'll get more wear out of it if it's wool. But I'm going to knit I am knitting the Reunion Cardi. And that is a pattern by Brienne Moody. It's just a top-down raglan with garter stitch in the front. Okay, it's real basic. It's nothing to write home about. And I probably will crop it, I imagine, or at least crop it more than it is. And I also just decided to not go with this color. This is the Duckling colorway. I decided to go with the Joey colorway. They're very much like, there's clearly like, there are a few darker colors, but they're clearly like made for kids knits. Like they're obviously from the names, things like that, but I'm still intrigued by them. Like, look at the texture, looks really great in the garter as well. Boop, boop, boop. It's super soft. The yarn is super soft. I am knitting it at a tighter gauge than I think it would be indicated. Let's see, what does it suggest? It suggests knitting it on 10s. I'm knitting it on like 4s. Oh, 3s, even better. Anyway, let's see. Their suggested gauge. It's not on. Oh, here it goes. It's 3 to 3.75 stitches to the inch. I don't think I'm actually that far off of that. I think I'm like, yeah, no, I'm actually not that far off of that. I think I'm like 4 to 4.5 or something like that. I just know that I like my fabrics to be a little bit firmer. Again, my knits are bigger, so they weigh more. This yarn is lighter weight, especially for a cotton, which is a lovely thing. 100 grams of this is, 50 grams of this is 142 yards, which is great for a cotton. 280 yards for an Aran heavy worsted. For a cotton, that's great. So that's another great thing, is it won't be as heavy for a cotton garment. But either way, I just had to like a slightly denser gauge for my garments. They wear better for me, and they get less stretched out, and I just like the look of them for me a bit more. So yes. And I just kind of wanted something that was going to knit a little faster. Honesty. I don't know what I'm thinking with this color. I don't know why I couldn't. This color made much more sense to me, but then I don't know, when I got it, I was just like, it still makes more sense to me, but I just didn't like it. This doesn't even make sense. I don't know. There was a yellow. Why didn't I get the yellow? I don't understand what I was doing with my brain. I don't know. This is what I got. So this is what we're doing. It's cotton. You know, I can over-dye it if I need to. Right? I think it's just different. I think that's maybe what it is. It's just different. And in my head, it's going to go with all of the green overalls I'm going to make myself. Clearly. And also it's going to match this jump. These. No, it doesn't really match those. But neither does the blue. So anyway. So that's happening. I apologize. I don't think I said. Did I say that? Brienne Moody is I think I did say that, is the designer of that sweater. It's all living in my fat squirrel bag. A big fancy. All of these projects are brought to you by the Fat Squirrel Big Fancy Bag. And then I tried to start the pom-pom. I said I wasn't going to do it. And then I tried to start the pom-pom magazine's Lucky Pieces. And then I started the gauge swatch. Not that it even tells you to do a gauge swatch. This is a skeletal pattern. Let me just discuss. I'm not the only person who said that. This is a skeletal pattern. Like, thank goodness somebody on their project notes like gave us this information, which is like kind of a schematic of like how the base row and the this is on their project page. Because whatever, it's skeletal. It is an old school pattern in terms of like the amount of information you were given. I don't know that I'm actually going to make this pattern. I don't know that it's actually worth the, for me, obviously, I don't know that for me it's worth the amount of effort and ends. I mean, there's definitely methods of adding the ends, like, you know, weaving in the ends as you go, and I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, maybe I should do it, maybe I should do like a crochet version or something. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Or maybe I should just do like an alternate version, you know, like something that is very similar. Like maybe a garter stitch version. I do really love the spirit of it. I'm not sad that I bought the magazine at all. Because there's lots of, I'm really glad that I love the look of this. And if nothing else, the inspiration of it is fine with me. And there's other pieces in there, in the magazine that I think are lovely and I'm glad to be inspired by, but I am not entirely sure that I want to make this thing. But I do have an entire bag of yarn that's that I have to make it with. So I'm going to be making something. I just have to figure out what it's going to be. So it's all pretty, right? Like, it's all pretty. I just have to figure out what that's going to be. It's another one too. It's like entrelac at like a loose gauge. I'm just not sure how I feel about that. I love the way it looks. I mean, I always love the way these things look. I'm just not sure if I'm going to like to have it. Do you know what I mean? I just can't decide. I just can't decide. See, I need to play with that one a little bit more. Do some more thinking about it. Play with it a bit more. I do really love the look of it. Oh, I got the cutest library book, though, that was all about crazy crochet things. I'm like, oh, I'm teetering and tottering about whether maybe I should do that. I can't decide. Speaking of crochet things, I cast on a crochet thing. This is a pattern from Universal Yarn. It's called the Piquilla Shawl. It's Piquilla, Piquilla Shawl, designed by Edie Eckman. Looks like that. Now, it is written for DK weight yarn, but I am making mine out of fingering weight yarn because, again, I don't follow rules. It's a free pattern, which is very enjoyable. Leadingman Fiber Arts had a trunk show at one of my local yarn stores. I'm so lucky to be able to say one of my local yarn stores. The Village Yarn store in Zionsville, Indiana. And I purchased this yarn, which is their Show Stealer base, which is fingering weight, 435 yards, 100 grams of 80 superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon in their Grapes of Wrath colorway. And then I had been gifted this Wollmeise pure. It's 574 yards. It's 150 grams. And this is the Jeton colorway, I think. I think that's the colorway. And so I thought they would look really great together. Bling. So, oh my goodness. Ow! Right. I love figuring weight crochet, y'all. It's so enjoyable. I'm a bandit. The only thing I did differently is that I cast on fewer stitches. So, or I chained fewer stitches to begin with. I think they have you chain like 90 something, which I originally did. But I just don't know why. I don't know. I think I would have, if I were going to do it again, I would even do fewer. I just would do like 3 or something. But whatever. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. It's basically like the shape of an elongated triangle, because it tells you the wingspan is 64 and the depth is 24. But it has you cast on like so that there's a V at the beginning. So I thought maybe you needed it to kind of like, you know, sometimes like when you're casting on a crescent shawl, they need you to have, sometimes the designer kind of, I don't want to say cheats, but it's like a shortcut to kind of get you a little bit. So I thought maybe it was like that, and so I started it that way. And then when I realized you didn't need it to be, like it wasn't structurally necessary to get you to the shape, I thought, oh, okay, I'll cast on a few less, because I would prefer it not to have that big V in the middle to start off with. And so I did a few less, but now I wish I had just done either just none, like, you know, just cast on like 3 or whatever, or I had left it as it was, but whatever. No big deal. I'm the only one who's even gonna know. But I think I finally got my edge worked out correctly, so it looks decent. It didn't look great at the beginning, but I think I've got it now. If you're new to the show, I am not an experienced crochetist, except like a granny square, but I'm not experienced in terms of like reading a pattern. And I think I've actually figured out how to read the chart, which it's a very basic chart. It's literally just single and double crochets. But I'm very excited that I'm reading the chart. It is also written so fun. You don't have to trim your yarns. You don't have to cut your yarns because it's kind of written almost like a brioche style, where you like, it's not brioche, but you'd like do your main color pass, and then so like, okay, we're knitting, right? Or we're crocheting. You do your main color pass, and then you go back and do your contrast color pass, and then do your main color pass, and then you go back and do your contrast color pass. Right, how fun is that? So you're like kind of like going back and forth, and that's why I say it's kind of like brioche, 2-color brioche. So it's fun. I enjoy it. And so I think it'll work out really well in terms of like the amount of yarn I have, because you're constantly using single crochets for your contrast color and double crochets for your main color. So I think it kind of maybe jive with the amount of yarn I have. And anyway, I just kind of like it. It's like I've never done it with like well, whatever. I enjoy it. End of story. And of course, there's my little stitch marker from Tilting Planet. I love her stuff so much. I don't even want to tell you how much I love it, because I don't want you to steal it all from me. Because clearly I have some sort of right to it. Not at all. She's doing burns. Oh my gosh, did you see that Going Gnome is going to do an Audubon kit? Oh my gosh, please steal that from me, because I don't need it. But these I do need, because they're already done, and I do need those. Okay? Okay. How cute it is. I don't even like hearts. Who am I? I'm knitting a pinky peachy sweater, and I'm buying heart things, and I love it. Whatever. Okay, that's the end. Let's do shameless self-promotion. There's only one thing. It's not even completely done. I'm going to show it to you. The first Friday of April, which is this coming Friday, I'm going to do sewn to order. So they're not technically pre-order, they're sewn to order. I have all the fabric. It's all cut. I'm just not sewing it until you tell me for sure if you want it. Also, to be honest with you, I'm having slight issues with my body. I'm fine. It's just like a combination of some nerve entrapment in my cervical spine and a little bit of repetitive use thing. So I'm just trying to really just take it easy, and just I'm just trying to take it easy and like be very mindful of my body and what it's telling me, and as we all should, right? So that's the reason I'm just trying to be careful. So that's the reason too, is these will be sewn to order, and it's usually just like it's usually like a couple weeks when it's a sewn to order. So maybe it'll 2 to 4, just depending, but I think it'll just be 2 because there's not like a ton of quantity or anything. So first Friday of April, there will be some big fancy bags. So if you recall, the big fancy is like this guy, and as you can see, like I have 6 skeins in there right now with their accompanying projects and some pattern stuff. Just thrown in there willy-nilly like the animal I am. And so here's going to be the fabric. Right? Does not like the greatest pool vibe. Okay. Now I didn't have the handle attached because I was wavering. But I think this is the handle color I have decided on. So she's just clipped on right now. But I think this is the color we're gonna go with. Because my instinct was to go with navy, but I just didn't like it at all. So I think we're just gonna go with a natural kind of this color. I think is the way to go. The navy just looked weird. So it's just like the others. In terms of like you've got a magnetic closure to close. The insides will be a matching, but I just put them as the veg tan just for now because this was just the sample and I couldn't decide, so I just put the neutral in there. But it'll be just like the other, where there will be the it'll be just like this one, except it'll be a different color. But anyway, so you've got a nice big wall of pockets in here. On this side, you have a heavy, it's actually 15 ounce. I said last time it was 12 ounce, but it's 15 ounce canvas for your lining. You've got a nice heavy handle that'll be braided into place. If you ever have issues, let me know. Unfortunately, I am human, and but if you ever have issues, please let me know. And I know some of you are so lovely and you would, but I mean, I try to double check everything, but I can make mistakes, and please just always let me know. I can always mend something and I am happy to do it. But so just putting it out there. But, so anyway, so you have these magnetic closures this way, and then you have magnetic closures for your across. So like if you want to have your bag, in a smaller setting, so you have like this, which is a cool shape. So those guys will be up the first Friday of April. And again, they'll be sewn to order, but it's probably a 2-week window. Unless there's just like a crazy demand and I can get a little bit more fabric. And if that's the case, I'll put that out there, and it'll be no more than 4. Because this is not a print order. This is a canvas stock that is printed. So it'll be a faster ship time for me. But I think we'll do with what we have in stock. I don't think there'll be that much demand. So we got some really fun fabrics coming up that I just got in. I'm just gonna say one of the fabrics is mushrooms with butts. I know that doesn't sound right, but let me tell you, when you see it, you're gonna love it. It's mushroom caps over lady leg butts. I'm just saying, it's really cute. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said that because now that sounds weird, but it's really great. Should just say that. Oh my goodness, y'all. Okay. I hope you remember to take care of your body. before it reminds you to. So just a reminder, if you're doing this a lot, or if you're looking down at your knitting a lot, or if you're looking down at your sewing a lot, or if you're looking down at your computer a lot, or you're looking down at your adoring dogs a lot, just remember to do some stretches. Just remember to do your multiple chin stretches. You know, I'm not a doctor, but you know, just remember to do some good care for your body, and I hope you can remember to do that before your body reminds you to. I hope you hear one bird that you can identify by sound, because it will make you feel so in touch with nature. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. And I hope you do it in front of a kid, because that's way better. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.